Welcome to People Like You. San Francisco is one of the most unchurched cities in the United States. Ministry in the Bay Area isn't easy, but with God, all things are possible. Senior Pastor Terry Brisbane of Cornerstone Church in San Francisco is here with us today to talk about the challenges and blessings of leading a thriving ministry right in the middle of the city. Don't go away.
You know, we like to think of ourselves as a place that people can bring people to. And that, you know, it kind of creates an environment to safely learn about the Lord.
Welcome back. Pastor Terry Brisbane of Cornerstone Church in San Francisco has been ministering in the city for over 30 years. And he's here with us today to share some of his experiences. And I don't want to let anybody know I've known you that long.
It's okay.
We don't look like it. Tell us about Cornerstone Church.
Well, Cornerstone Church, you know, it's a non-denominational church that is centered here in San Francisco. And, you know, we like to think of ourselves as a place that people can bring people to. And that, you know, it kind of creates an environment to safely learn about the Lord. I mean, one of the things that most compels me personally is when I see people who've kind of run away to San Francisco, sometimes even disconnecting from the roots of their faith, kind of find a home again. In fact, that's one of the things people often say. It felt like I was coming home. And of course, at a pastoral level, you know, the idea that we can help become the answer to someone's prayer when they're praying for maybe their grandson or their granddaughter or their son, you know, and they're worried about them. And then to be part of that story of seeing them come back to the Lord in the place that in many ways they ran away from God to come to. It's one of those things that really connects us to like the core kind of passion that's inside. I mean, we really think of ourselves as a missionary church. We try to adapt to the culture of our city, to be honest about it, to be authentic, but we're also, you know, committed to Christ and committed to the core teachings. And how to balance out that nuance is something that we really work at. We pay a lot of attention to it. We think about what we say, how we say it. And one of the things we really try to do too is we try to create a promise that it helps to bring people, and maybe you've been working with that person or someone who's a neighbor, that the promise that we really try to hold is that, you know, on a given Sunday, a given weekend actually, there's sort of a consistency. Your friend's not going to be embarrassed. It's not going to be odd. In fact, if anything, it's going to create an opportunity to really talk about the Lord. We don't speak down to people. We assume we all are working through things, but it's a kind of a healing place that sort of is designed to work with someone who has a heart for people to come to Christ. And at the same time, we're equipping those who are already following Jesus, no matter where they are in their faith, to be able to live that out in practical ways, on their jobs, in their homes, at school. So there's an emphasis on connecting, living out the faith with what we believe. So those are two real parts that make our church sort of what it is. This idea of an easy place to bring people, this also place where you can grow in practical ways and experience Christ. So there's a lot of grace. It's fun. We have an emphasis on excellence, consistency. We want to deliver an environment that is safe to bring people to. That's a big part of who we are.
Well, you know, I can kind of attest to that. Incognito, kind of.
Oh, wow.
My family attended the church. We just wanted to come and enjoy the worship, and we got there kind of, you know, right on time. First of all, parking.
Yeah.
That is amazing, and everyone is so friendly. We were greeted. We felt special from the very first moment, but not in a strange way, a very inviting way. And the minute we walked into the facility itself, I mean, we felt just what you're saying, Pastor.
Yeah.
We felt welcome. And then when we sat down amidst everyone in the congregation, we felt a part. We were invited, they shook our hand, moved graciously, or interacted with us. And it was a group of people.
Yeah, yes.
You just could see that right away in the worship, a group of people eagerly waiting a time with the Lord.
Well, they would be so pleased. Those are volunteers predominantly who are just trying to represent the Lord, and in a way that is just genuine and loving.
Yeah.
And I think they would just be overjoyed to hear something like what you just said, because we do try to walk this fine line between being friendly and reaching out in ways that are hospitable. At the same time, there's this, it's pretty intense inside of a city, you know, and at the same token, we're trying to create a safe place for people to be also a little bit anonymous if they want to be. So we're not putting a lot of pressure.
No.
We
didn't want to leave.
Well,
We didn't
good.
want to leave.
That's a
You
good
had
thing.
another
That's a good
service, and
thing.
we had to go, and we
That's a
didn't
good
want to
thing.
leave, and everyone was
Wow, thank you,
greeting us.
Debbie.
And
That's very
the
kind of
sermon,
you.
I'll just say, it spoke to my daughter and I. We looked at each other and we said, okay. The pastor was in the car with us on the way over here. He heard our dialogue because the sermon is like
The Lord must have known. He knew.
he
you know.
spoke. So you've been a pastor for a long time,
Yeah.
but you don't seem to. I mean, you are passionate about it.
Well, I think anybody who is in ministry as a pastor, certainly, but on any kind of ministry expression, you really have to pay attention to your own heart, your own soul. You have to stay tender before the Lord. Otherwise, it's hard to keep going sometimes. And in my case, I started as a youth pastor. My grandfather was the pastor
In
at the
San
time.
Francisco?
In San Francisco, in this church that I serve.
Wow,
as the lead pastor here. And it was, it's been a great adventure for me to now, 3 decades. It's hard to believe, for one thing, but I've been serving, in a pastoral capacity for these 30 years here in San Francisco.
And grew up there as well.
I was born and raised here.
You've seen it completely change.
I have. I've watched the city change in a number of different ways, and just, the process is, cities are living things, just like churches are.
Yeah.
And there's always change going on. There's always sort of new cultural things that are happening. And church, to be effective, in my opinion, has to be adaptive to those realities, just like we do with our own faith. It has to be open to change.
So pastoring is not a job for you.
No, I would say that it's far more than that, because if it's just a job, there's a lot that goes into it. That would be, I might if it was just a job, I'd probably choose another job. All right, because
Got it, yes.
it's very complex, and you deal with a lot of pain and wounds, and there's a lot of pressure and expectation sometimes. You got to keep your own soul in a good place, and you have to keep growing as a person. And at first, you always must remind yourself, I'm a follower of Jesus first, and I'm a pastor second, and that plays out in terms of just how it informs your decisions you make for your life.
And in there, a great father and role model too. We get to meet Chloe, your daughter, here in a few minutes. I wanted her to come too. So much going on at your church. I want to talk some more comedy night, everything. When we return,
Thanks,
Pastor Terry will
Okay.
tell us about Cornerstone's new campus, and we'll be joined by his daughter, Chloe Brisbane. You'll love to meet her. Don't go away.
But when they see true conviction and a Christ-like faith, and you really do understand why you believe what you believe, people don't have much to say against that.
We're back with Pastor Terry, and his daughter Chloe joins us, and I am so honored to have you here with us too, Chloe.
Thanks.
And I'll explain the way I met you. Was I heard you singing, and the presence of the Lord was so great at that moment that we were quite emotional in the service, and my family. And so I just appreciate what you gave us that day that we visited the church. I appreciate that so much. So PK.
It's true. I'm a pastor's kid. Grew up in a pastor's home. So,
And you survived.
I did. I survived, and
Right.
thankfully, by God's grace, all 4 of us. There's 4 siblings, and we all love the Lord, and we're following Him. And
In the city of San Francisco.
in the city of San Francisco, I think, the Lord definitely, His grace plays a part, but also my parents, just how they raised us and allowed us to explore our faith and what it means to us. It provided a safe place to grow in our walk. So Yeah.
That's an amazing testimony itself. Okay, so singing at the church is not as, there are other things that you do.
Yeah, I actually am the missions catalyst at Cornerstone, and what that is it's just a place where it's actually a position that was created. Cornerstone wanted to take more of a role in partnering with different nonprofits, local and global, and finding ways to serve with them and serve alongside them. And so they came up with Missions Catalyst, and we both had been praying about, is this something that I should take on? And so I did.
Stepped in.
Okay.
Stepped in.
Yes.
Pastor, is she doing a good job?
Oh, she's doing a great job. I mean, she is, you know. I mean, when she came out of Berkeley and the focus that she had, and she had worked at Samaritan's Purse, and she had worked with Compassion, and she had been, you know, in other countries, and I just felt that it was an expression. If there was a way to both serve others in the name of Jesus, at the same time honor our core commitments as a church, to just sharing the good news of Christ, you know, if there was a way to do that, because we knew there was a language for, you know, Chloe could add to this, but for the generation, her generation, art is one of the languages the gospel gets communicated best in, but service is another way of doing that.
But serving in Christ's name, and
In Christ's name.
I think that brings a whole different kind of healing that goes beyond just physical needs, meeting physical needs, or even emotional, but it's really about spiritual, and it's a holistic approach, right? We want to create an environment that we bring the gospel, and then as well as other things like serving through meeting physical and emotional, and so it's been pretty awesome to see, just to partner alongside, you know, local organizations as well as global.
Yeah,
so.
a lot of great ministries in San Francisco, and just being able to get, you know, in Chloe's case, she basically mobilizes our community to connect with a lot of these other ministries who are doing amazing work.
Yeah.
And we get to share that blessing, you know, at the same time stay committed to our core purpose, which is to share the good news of Jesus Christ in the city, you know, and serving in his name. It's a beautiful compliment. So I am biased, I know, but you know.
Well, I am too.
She's doing, I think, a wonderful job, and I think it's been a blessing to the church as well.
Generationally, when I was young, there was no question. You know, really, Christianity was at the forefront. And now there's so many options, and you know what these kids, you know, my daughter's at UCL, you know what everyone's facing.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that Christ is the same today as he was yesterday and as he will be tomorrow. But how does that affect you as a 23-year-old?
You know, being a 23-year-old and growing up in San Francisco, and then also going to school at UC Berkeley, it actually, although it can be viewed as pretty difficult, for me it was kind of like unforeseen blessing, because it allowed me to dig deep and to really ask, why do I believe what I believe? Because it's not cool, nor is it common to have morals, Christian morals, and values that you're truly following. And I think because of that, people actually gravitated towards, because I had such a foundation that I had already been able to ask the hard questions, it allowed people my age to say, well, why do you believe that? And why do you continue? And in some ways, by God's grace, I think it has benefited a lot of people my age. So I would say that people do want to know about Christ, and they've seen a lot of things that are, you know, a lot of them in San Francisco and Berkeley have been turned off by some of the things that they've seen. But when they see true conviction and a Christ-like faith, and you really do understand why you believe what you believe, people don't have much to say against that. So
Respect, perhaps.
Yeah, respect. So, I mean, I guess I just advocate real fast is for those of us that are in our 20s or something, just to really question why we believe what we believe, but not just question it, but dig deep and to say, you know, this is why I choose Christ, and then to live it out in an authentic, genuine way. So.
Well, Chloe, I'm so glad you're part of the ministry and that you came today, and soon you're going to maybe sing for us, and not on this show, but later on.
Yeah.
So you'll have to go to the church, actually.
Yes.
All right, original facility, where is that located?
It's in the Mission District of San Francisco. It's it's a pretty unique district in the city. It's got a lot
Pretty
of,
cool.
yeah, it's cool. Right now, it's a really amazing place. I mean, so many people are coming into the city to work in a lot of the tech, and there's a lot of different, just all kinds of young people there as well, but converging with a number of different, cultures, and it's just a great place, very eclectic, cool place to do ministry.
Yes,
Definitely.
we wandered around a little bit afterwards, and I agree with you, and it just was this great energy.
Yes.
This great energy,
Yeah.
and then here you are right in the midst of it.
Yeah, it just kind of worked out that way.
And you have another campus, actually we'll talk about after the break, and
Yes.
comedy night and all this. You have so much going on at the church. Stay with us. Don't go away.
And one of the things that I really like about Cornerstone too is that it is multi-generational.
That's
and
true.
So,
I noticed that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'll have old people like
And
him.
multi-ethnic.
Yeah.
Welcome back. And now you have a brand new campus.
Yes, yes, we do. It's been a real exciting development for our church. We've often, thought, how can we, in the midst of some of the growth that we've been experiencing, we run a number of services on the mission campus, but, we're fairly constrained space-wise, and so we've had this vision of looking for a larger facility, but God, we really believe, opened up an opportunity for us on the west side of the city, which is kind of where I grew up, and it's near Lake Merced, San Francisco State campus. And we call it the Merced campus because it's close to Lake Merced there in Stonestown on the west side. And it's kind of the area where also, I kind of grew up as well. And it's been great because it's easier for people who are on the peninsula or coming from Marin to get there. And it's just been a wonderful adventure that we started this about, it was a year and a half into it, and it's been great.
Wow.
It's been great. So we run the two campuses simultaneously.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been a huge victory for our church.
What do you find unique about Cornerstone Church?
For me, I think there's a number of things, but one has to do with, I think, the way we talk about Jesus and the way we communicate Him. The other thing is that we're very committed to art and wedding art and technology, these two sort of languages. And when we think of art, we think of music, film, drama. We write our original Easter plays and musicals, and we use film. And same thing, we do this at Christmas time as well. There are events that people can bring people to. At the same time, now with the second campus, we can have a more traditional Sunday or service. At the same time, we're running these plays on the weekend and music, and it's just great. It's a collaboration of art and
it works really well because you're, in San Francisco, it's such a place where art is happening.
It is.
And,
It is in that neighborhood. Yes.
Yeah, and so to be an expression of that, and to really invite
coffee.
people from, coffee too.
Coffee is,
And I did look
we
for the
love
coffee.
It's there.
It is. Well, and this is the small piece of what you do, but
Yeah.
comedy night.
We do
I
improv,
saw-
comedy nights. There are
Hilarious.
musical. We do concerts.
These are talented people.
And in the city too. I mean, it's got our venue at the Mission is very unique. It feels like you're
It
going into
does.
almost like a club-ish, but maybe a concert hall.
Right.
I don't know. People ask us, was it built, for plays?
More like a theater.
It's a theater.
is.
All right,
Well,
that's
that's
true. But what is a
cute.
concert? But yeah, she's
I
right.
would say theater. Thank you,
She's
Chloe.
right. It's more of a theater.
But it's such a cool place to be. Let me just say that. It's a cool
And
place
it
to be.
actually became that because it wasn't, the Mission District wasn't really super cool, and then, it started picking up restaurants and stuff. And I think because of that, it also allowed for a lot of young people to start
true.
coming to Cornerstone Tune in a different expression. And
And when we say that, every environment has its own challenges too.
yeah.
And you don't want to, there are unique then challenges that come with trying to reach people for the Lord. And so, we have to really be thoughtful about that. In my opinion, staying humble, not getting so concerned about the image, but just trying to be an authentic version of who we are. We didn't really try to create something just to be, known and somehow fit completely into the neighborhood. If it meant just being inauthentic, that wouldn't have been worth it to us. We just want to be a real expression.
And one of the things that I really like about Cornerstone too is that it is multi-generational.
That's
and
true.
So,
I noticed that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'll have old people like
And
him.
multi-ethnic,
Yes,
and a lot of different ethnicities and different
So
socioeconomic
you're
backgrounds.
invited. Me too.
That's true. No, but we weren't always that way. You know, when we were younger, it was a niche,
It's
kind of a niched
true.
expression.
Yeah.
And one of the things we now have just been so grateful for is that you're not just going to be meeting with only one kind of people.
Yeah.
But now we sort of just thank the Lord for that, because it makes it sort of a unique, legitimate expression of the body of Christ.
What we're going to be, you know, in the future, and we are
absolutely.
now. Yeah.
And how good is it to do that
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
You know.
And the music is very unique too, and very, very artistic and just wonderful. And you can feel the presence of it.
exactly.
What is the vision for Cornerstone? Where are you headed?
Well, I mentioned this. We just had our 25th anniversary, our 60th as I've been been able to serve as a pastor there. Our 60th anniversary. It was our 50th year in the mission. We celebrated it at the Warfield Theater together. We talked about that very question.
We did.
That was part of our question, and we just really felt that God wasn't leading us to create this great grandiose mission statement. We just felt the Lord was saying to us that our goal would be to be generationally faithful with the entrustment, and whatever God chose that to be, if He had more responsibility that He wanted us to just accept, then would He give us courage to do that? But at the same time, we just felt like what the best thing we could ever be was to be faithful to honoring Him with what He had asked us to do in this city, and that was part of what that He wanted us to do. Not necessarily set large. We have some goals, we have things that we're praying into, but at the end of the day, we just feel like one of the best things we could ever do for the people who've come to trust the ministry and is just to be very faithful and honorable in what we've been given, to try to honor people's trust and to just be an authentic representation of the heart of Jesus in our city.
Wow. Yeah. Who's invited?
I mean, everybody's
Everyone.
invited,
I think that's the neat thing is, at Cornerstone, I can sit next to somebody who's maybe just leaving rehabilitation center or something, and then, the next person right there is, in the business in San Francisco. I think you really could be sitting next to both of them, and you're just in the middle, and that's one of the beautiful expressions of Cornerstone.
Yeah, it's a large swath. I mean, I would say it's a great place to invite people who are open and seeking. It's also a great place to invite people who are wanting to reconnect in vibrant ways with their faith, and maybe who've even been burned in the past and had some bad experiences. They get healed there. We got a lot of people just getting better.
We're not perfect.
No, we're not pretending to be. But we're really, we do love the Lord, and we're real, and we're seeing a lot of good things.
Yeah.
We have 30 seconds. Just a word for people watching. A word for the Bay Area.
What do you say?
Anything.
Stay encouraged.
Yeah.
And don't be defined by either the guilt or the shame of life, or even sometimes we feel like somehow we've got so much stuff that God can't really work in our lives. Remember that we're all on a journey of faith, and we're all growing. And so remember, He loves us, He calls us, He cares about us, and He wants us to grow in every season of our life.
Amen. Oh, I'm so glad you were here today. You got to come see us again.
Oh, we'd love to.
And
Thanks,
you never
Debbie.
know when I'm going to show up. For more information about Cornerstone Church, including service times and locations, visit www.cornerstone-sf.org or go to KTLN.TV. Remember that KTLN is a donor-supported ministry, and we're thankful for the part you play in keeping this ministry ongoing. Thanks for being with us, and join us again next week.